So how did you manage to fail so badly?
I can't believe it. It was terrible.
It really was.
Mm.
What happened? Why didn't you have any women there? I mean, it was feminism. Everyone was expecting to see women.
Marty thought that Jessie was a woman.
What?
I mean, it's an understandable mistake, you know. It's
you see the
Jessie
beard.
Stone and.
You should try to have more control over it next time.
I know. You know, I just don't want to. I don't want to cut Marty out the picture. He's a good guy, and he means well.
I know, but the result was terrible.
We should have you on the show next time.
Me? Why?
Because you're gorgeous.
It's the radio.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, all right, mate. How's it
Good to
going?
see you. Yeah.
Looking forward to it today.
Yeah. It's going to be great. Now, I've got something to tell you. Don't be angry, right? I got rid of that American bloke. We're not having him on today.
But it was actually American the first time we've had someone who was actually some relation to the subject.
Okay, but what does he know about politics?
I don't know. But he's an American at least.
Look, I've got someone better. I think he'll do a much better job.
Right.
Ron Politsky.
What, as in?
Operation Truth. Ron Politsky. You know.
Yeah, the nutter.
Yeah. Well, no, he's not a nutter. Come on now. He just has a different
Barking.
perspective on these issues.
How's he going to get on
think-
with Kev?
Well, yeah, Kev's not coming tonight either.
What's happened with
Well,
Kev?
look, I told him to have the night off.
He's
because,
your sidekick.
Look, I am fed up with him coming in and saying stupid things all the time. You know, that's all he does. What else does he do?
Well, yeah, but that's what he does, isn't it?
Well, look, all right. I just want to have a sensible show for once. All right, none of this nonsense. All right?
Okay.
I just want us to stick to the point and actually have a discussion about something that's intelligent.
Okay. But I've got the young actor, James Bown. He's very up and coming, very popular. He's gonna be good.
Yeah,
he's very
I
good.
was meaning to ask you about that. What's his perspective on the election?
Oh, I've got no idea. I didn't ask him.
Ron, I just wanted to say, personally, I've seen an awful lot of your YouTube videos. I think you've got some great things to say, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolute pleasure, dear boy. Now, if we start off with the premise that everything is a conspiracy, and it's conspiracy upon conspiracy upon conspiracy. 9/11, the Bohemian Grove.
Oh, yeah.
You're familiar?
Yeah, I've heard
Yes.
of that. Yeah, the redwoods where all the elite go, and
Kennedy assassinations. Yes.
Mm.
Right back. You may think I'm balmy, but right back to the Magna Carta.
Really good to see you on the show today. It's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
It'll be good for your audience.
Yeah,
bring
well,
new people.
my agent said I should be on some of these, documentary kind of talking to people kind of shows, just to get my human side.
Yeah,
the
definitely,
part
definitely.
which is off the screen.
Yeah. It'll go well. Yeah.
The Magna Carta was written in Latin, translated into French, translated into English. Do you think that's the same Magna Carta? These barons, these all-powerful people cooked up. Do you think it's the same one? Of course it's not. Everything is a conspiracy.
I saw you at the theatre recently.
Oh, yeah.
Oliver.
Oh,
You were very
yeah,
good,
yeah,
very
no,
good. The singing was
thanks very
excellent.
much,
Excellent. Made me think about ringing you up. Go on, give us a bit now. What was it? Consider yourself
Oh, yeah.
at home.
Yeah,
Consider yourself part of the family.
furniture,
Consider yourself.
Our mates.
Oh, mates, yay! Very good,
I
very
can't
good. Yeah,
remember it.
maybe we
Honestly,
can get you to do a
so-
bit on the bit singing on the actual show, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give it a go, but
Yeah, excellent. That's gonna be good.
I don't know if it'll deter from the politics,
Yeah, that's true.
If you are a contributing member of society, paying your taxes, buying the goodies, then business will support you. As soon as you don't, you're out on the streets and nobody cares. Nobody's going to give you a light for a fag on the city streets. And why? Conspiracy upon conspiracy.
Welcome to Right Here, Right Now with me, Micky Riggers. If there is hope, it lies in the proles. Here with me today is the host of the alternative news series Operation Truth and self-professed conspiracy theorist Ron Politsky, and a rising star from the local amateur dramatic scene, James Bond. Now, before we get on to our main subject for the episodes, the headlines. In Brexit news, the High Courts ruled against the
Brexit.
government Article 50.
Ha! We should never have been in the damn thing in the first place. Common market. That's what we voted for, to join a common market that we could profit from. Now, what do they call it? The EU. What does EU stand for? Evil Union.
Thank you, Ron. So as I was saying, the High Courts ruled against the government activating Article 50 without permission from the Houses of Parliament. The same Parliament that the Brexiteers and Murdoch's propaganda machine called for returning to sovereignty during the lead up to the referendum. To use Boris Johnson's words, I am sure Brexit will be a titanic success. We've seen a protest turn violent this week in South Dakota, where predominantly Native Americans are protesting against an oil pipeline being built on their land with significant cultural value. It is unsure what caused the violence, but one thing is for sure. A heavily militarised police force with what look like tanks and using non-lethal force has not and will not return peaceful proceedings to this protest. More on that next week. And finally, the Queen, after being spotted last week in Waitrose, has now seen an increase of 2.8 million in her state
The
benefit.
Queen? The royal family? Let me tell you something. Not more than 100 years ago, the royal family in this country was rightly vilified. They were spat upon in public, so they had to be reinvented. People were paid a penny or 2 pennies a day to stand with little flags and wave at them. Now, what have we got? We've got a German and we've got a Greek. And we have their offspring, their spawn, which are spreading and being given access to huge houses and huge tracts of land. It's an absolute disgrace. I would take them and I would put them in a council house in, let's say, Easterhouse. Scotland, they seem to like Scotland, don't they? Put them in a council flat in Easterhouse and let them live on benefits and see how they get on.
Ron, really, I'd like to get through the headlines before we open the floor.
Oh, get on with it then.
Right. So clearly she's seeing tough times, just like her people. Now for this week's song, we have Synthetics with Blood and Bacardi from their Maelstrom EP. Hello and welcome back to Right Here, Right Now with me, Micky Riggers. That was Synthetics with Blood and Bacardi from the Maelstrom EP. And now, the US elections. Trump or Clinton? To be honest, I don't think either are particularly good.
Does it really matter? Well, Trump or Clinton, does it really matter? They're all part of the same conspiracy that's been going on since the Second World War to drive these sort of people into the forefront of our politics.
I believe you wanted to say something. You don't need to raise your hand, by the way.
Well, I think Clinton is the better candidate. You know, as a woman president, you know, she really, you know, she speaks to the women in America. And
Excuse me, son. Can I remind you that we had a woman prime minister in this country and the devastation that she's caused, that she's still causing today? What makes you think that Hillary Clinton won't do the same in America?
Look, I think that gender doesn't really come into it. What we need to focus on is the policy. Now, Trump and Clinton's policies are starkly different in places, but the rhetoric seems to be largely the same. Buddying up with their allies, squashing their enemies. Forgive me if it sounds a little ignorant, but they seem to be almost exactly the same person with aggressive tendencies, just vindictive people. Clinton hides it a bit better than Trump does.
Well, we don't really need to look at the policies, because if you look at either of the policies, it doesn't matter, because they're just saying stuff to get voted in, aren't they? So, you know, it shows that Clinton is the better candidate because she's a nicer person. I mean, you look at Trump, he's a bit of a bad man, isn't he?
Well, that leads me nicely on to the next point that I wanted to make about the scandals that have strewn this election.
Scandals? You're going to talk about scandals? Are you scandalised by anything? Have you ever been scandalised by anything? I can no longer be scandalised. What exactly do you mean by scandals? You've got to get back to how they conspired to getting us where we are now.
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Ron, but we're looking at the scandals, Trump's many misogynistic assaults, Clinton's email record, and of course we've got to throw in Bill Clinton's sexual assaults as well. And he's seen. You really don't need to raise your hand, James.
Well, Bill Clinton, we don't need to look at him because he's not running for president.
I think we should very much look at Bill Clinton. Well, look at the whole Clintons. They're all part of the same Illuminati.
I think what Ron means by the Illuminati is the elite.
No, I mean the Illuminati.
Sorry, what's the Illuminati?
The Illuminati, a secret organisation that supposedly run the world. I like to think of them as a metaphor for the elite.
They're no metaphor. They exist.
Well, I think we should take this back to the point, which is the US elections. We were discussing Trump and Clinton.
The US elections. We're here to discuss the US elections. I, being who I am and the voice of truth, pointing out every conspiracy that I come across to help to illuminate things for you. You, please excuse me, but you are what? A jumped-up poor man's Alan Partridge? And you a wannabe lead singer in the back passage, boy?
How dare he, Marty? How dare he sit on my own show and insult me? Hey, he's insulting me.
Yes,
do you think that's okay?
No.
Well,
He was quite rude. Actually,
well, what are you
wasn't
going to do about it?
So what's your criteria for being on this show, then?
Well, I'm an actor.
Oh.
Yeah.
An actor?
Yeah, I came to kind of plug my show, but I
Oh, did
really
you
had
indeed?
much
Did
of a
you think that
chance.
was relevant to the programme we've just made?
Well, it wasn't my idea to have him on the show, was it? I had the American bloke.
Look,
You wanted this one.
He makes good points, Marty. It's not my fault. You're supposed to keep control of our guests. You're the producer, after all.
He's bleeding mad.
Well, keep him sane then.
Right, yeah, okay,
Stop
okay,
him from
okay.
going off on the Illuminati and all that shit.
Yes,
Just
I'll
get
keep him focused.
I'll
keep him focused.
Yeah.
What sort of thing are you acting in? What are you acting in now?
It's Olliver. Do you know Olliver?
Oliver! Who will buy
Yes.
this wonderful morning? I love that show.
Really? I didn't think you would.
Why not?
Hello and welcome back to Right Here, Right Now with me, Micky Riggers. We're still talking about the US elections, and the final point that I wanted to discuss today is the future.
The future. The future. The future's already been decided.
Well, I think we're looking at two very stark differences.
Recently, I watched Michael Moore's film. Michael Moore Shrunk.
Excuse me, Michael Moore. Michael Moore. He's not an independent filmmaker. Who do you think finances him? It's all part of the same conspiracy.
Anyway, it paints Hillary Clinton in a really nice light, and even though her new policies are a little bit Republican.
Lizards.
Well, I'd like to cut you off there and just say that
Lizards.
she's been a Republican.
Shape-shifting lizards and paedophiles, the lot of them. We don't have a say in what goes on in this country or any other country. It's all decided by the shape-shifting lizards. Paedophiles, they're deciding the future. They've already
Just a tiny word. Could I just have a tiny word with you there?
Well, if you must.
Just a little bit. Just a second. Because you're doing ever so well. It's ever so good. But just could we have a little bit less
Don't
of the lizards?
patronise me, you sawn-off little shitbag.
Right. Sorry about that.
I was invited onto this programme for my expert knowledge and expertise.
Yes, he did. Yes.
How much bloody longer is this going to go on anyway?
Not very long, because you're doing so well. But if
Don't
we could
patronise me.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right. I think that's all okay now. That's all good.
So, finally, to sum up, I believe that this election should call into question the very nature of the UK-US special relationships.
Special relationship. Special relationship with the US. Are you aware of the lease lend contracts we had with the United States of America during the Second World War?
No, Ron, please fill us in.
We borrowed from them the machinery to back up our war efforts, to build the machineries of war, which were necessary to conquer the Nazis. At the end of the war, when we were thoroughly bankrupt, we needed money to support the refugees in Europe, money to bring our troops home. We had thorough rationing. Rationing went on till 1956. The Americans still wanted their payments. When we said, I'm sorry, we're bankrupt, we can't make any payments, will you give us a little time? Uncle Sam sailed his little ships over to Yarmouth Harbour, loaded the machinery which we lent from them onto the little boats, poodled off into the middle of the North Sea and dropped them in the ocean. A special relationship with the United States.
Well, that's exactly the point that I'm making, Ron. The special relationship has never, ever benefited the UK whatsoever. We follow them through thick and thin into disastrous war after another, and I really think that this election should be the final nail in the coffin to that relationship.
But we've definitely got a better relationship with America than we do with Russia.
Ha! Russia? Oh God, you'll be talking about bloody China.
I think we should leave it there now. So thank you very, very much, both of you, for your insightful commentary on this discussion. And so finally, we move on to our dumbest headline of the week, read for us by James Bowen.
Fury over out-of-touch judges who defied 17.4 million Brexit voters and could trigger constitutional crisis. Enemies of the people.
And once again, that is from the Daily Mail.
Enemies of the people, more like. This is Operation Truth. 9/11. Bohemian Grove. The Illuminati. The satanic paedophile ring. And of course, the Earth is flat.
Subscribe.